Yo, 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 what is going on? What's up, Lilith? What's up, VC? What's up, Jack? VC, you have about 20? Alright, well, we'll get through a pretty good amount of what we're going to go through, but we won't finish it all in 20 minutes. But definitely check out the rest when you come back from whatever you're going to do. What's up, Rowdy? How you doing, man? Let me know if the music is too loud or if... Yeah, pretty much just the music volume. Just let me know about that. If it's too loud or too quiet, or if it's fine. What's up, Shaq? Kind of excited about today's stream. I wasn't really going to do one today, but then I was like, you know what? Let's just do it all. We're going to cover everything. We're going to go over last week's a little bit. We're going to go over this week's, start fresh, all that good stuff. And this right here is really just preparation. You can't hear it much, actually? Oh, okay. Well, damn. I can turn it up a little bit. By a little bit, I mean a little bit. Hey, Susan, good to see you. Alright, well, I'm going to just jump right into things. As people tune in, they can, of course, go back. I'm not going to let them miss out on too much, but I want to get started at the same time. Afternoon, Big Rollout, how you doing? Alright, let's get into things. So, if you guys are not aware of what we're about to do, I'm going to go over last week's levels first, so you guys have a good idea of what we're about to talk about, what we're about to look at, how we're about to look at things. But first off, this is from last week right here. So this is levels 24. So I have, as you can see, 24 of them. 24 watch list over the past 24 weeks, I would assume. I'm sure I've missed one or two. But over the past 25, 26 weeks, I posted 24 weekly watch list on Sunday. Sometimes Monday, depending if that day is off. Sometimes we have those weird market holidays hitting us on that Monday. But basically, it's just a summary of what's up, what's going on, what are we looking at, and it's just a good refresh, kind of start over moment for yourself before the week begins again. So, as you can see, we cover SPY on the daily time frame. Excuse me, my voice is still kind of gone. We're looking at SPY on the smaller time frame here on the 5-minute bit. It's just a review of the levels. It's not really about the 5-minute. It's just to cover smaller time frame viewing. So this is what the levels look like that Sunday before that next Monday pops up. With a general game plan, of course, things will be changed with pre-market. If pre-market high and pre-market low change, of course, we'll add that and adjust accordingly. But we also have IWM on the bigger time frame, daily time frame. So we'll go over that. IWM on the smaller time frame because I got a bunch of small cap traders, but there's honestly a lot of fun on this chart. I don't know why people discriminate IWM. It actually moves really well. FedEx. See these? Sometimes I just post a straight up chart with no typing. Sometimes I post a chart with like a paragraph of information. So it's really just, I guess, how I'm feeling that day. But we're going to go over a lot, and I think that's why I prefer the live stream method, because then I can go over all this stuff and I don't have to feel like I'm missing out on telling you anything. I'm going to give you everything. So and we'll go over these as well. We'll review how these did and what we can look at next for these charts, because these have moved from where they are currently on these charts. These are from last week. And then today, we're going to type up the new one together. So on my other screen, I'm going to type it up, and then I'll kind of just pull it over to this screen here and there so you guys can see what's going on. But for the most part, that's what it's going to look like, just so you have a general idea. So while we're charting and talking about this stuff, I'm going to be screenshotting and typing on my left screen and just kind of going back and forth with you guys. So if you guys have questions, or if you just kind of want to reiterate something, feel free to type it out and just kind of tell me what you're thinking, or tell me if you agree with something, if you disagree with something, if something's off, if what, anything really. I'm not looking to have a weird session. We're just going to have an open-minded session and just kind of talk about things. This is just to really prepare yourself. And this is something you guys need to be doing on your own. Even if I'm not here, even if we're not doing this stream, or if I don't post a weekly watch list, you guys need to be doing this general kind of routine on your own. And then, of course, if you want to add some of your own stuff to it, or go on about it however you want, that's on you. It's your personal preference. It's your comfortability. So please stick with whatever you like. Be comfortable. But let's start now. So the first thing I like to do when I do these charts is I like to go over the SPY daily time frame, and then the smaller time frames, and then I go to IWM. I do the exact same thing, and then I go from those two and I just start talking about swing trade ideas, or just other levels you guys want to look at. We can, but I'm going to jump into just kind of looking at a couple ideas I was looking at. Then we'll review last week's swing ideas. Not really swing ideas, just kind of bigger time frame charting, and you can kind of trade on those as you want. But we'll go over all that. So Let's start with SPY. Let me scroll up on my list right here. So SPY daily time frame. So last week this looked a little bit different. I don't even think I had this zone here. The big focus was just, and I don't think I have either of these zones here. I think we were really just focused on what was it going to do against this fib, because starting last week, we started up higher right here, because remember we closed like this on that previous Friday. That next Monday, last Monday, we opened just like this. We kind of reacted to resistance, and then we just fell, right? And all this really was a good reaction of two different things here. So you could see this as bearish continuation. You could also see this as taking profits and people kind of trying to change sentiment, because all this really did was, yes, it did smack a bearish area. Yes, it did exit in a bearish area. Yes, it even gave us multiple bearish candles under that. But look what the very next candle was. If you don't count the wicks of everything, if we're just looking at the bodies of the candles, it's a bullish kicker. That's a very strong buyer reaction. So almost kind of putting us back into a 50-50 position. And then this candle does the exact same thing, except it's actually sitting above good levels. So now we're seeing a potential hold of the 50% or even the golden pocket at 5-10-50. So really kind of moving into next week, we're just still really, and I said this last week too, we're going to be looking for a lot of weird bounces and just kind of like just information type weeks. So like day to day, yes, you are going to be finding amazing opportunities to trade, but I don't think anybody should be holding anything in a one directional term until we see more information yet. So yes, we have an established low, we have higher lows, we have a good re-break of the golden pocket, but all this is just like this. It's just an initial reaction. This could just do what this just did as well. Close back under, give us a bearish kicker, and the next thing you know, I'm retesting this as a, because again, we have one touch, we have two touch, we have a third touch. If this was to ever come down this week, it's going to try to hold this as a double bottom or a higher low. So that's what we're going to have to see is, do we reject these two areas? And if we do, on the smaller time frames, we can look for lower highs under this level. We can look for lower highs under this level. I don't know why my drawing's doing that. We can look for lower highs under that level, sorry. And then we can plan for higher probability trades. Oh, one less. But that's kind of like the visual of what we're looking at here. So just kind of talking about the chart, and then we're going to talk about it on the screen here. Well, let me move this over. All right. So we're going to go to the actual bigger time frame chart. This is just kind of a light work chart is what I labeled it, but it's just to show the most basic information possible. Like just what is the most important thing here, and by itself, what does it look like? Just to give us a good view. So now we know, okay, we do definitely have a buyer showing up, but we got to be a little bit cautious of a potential gap fill, as well as just a test of the control point. Maybe they want to come down here and test this as a support, because if you look here, before I move on, we didn't really hold anything as a support here. Nothing was held here. I don't know why my trend lines are doing this. Nothing was held here as a support here at 506.60s. So we are most likely looking for the retest of 507s, 506.60s, 507s. And if we can get higher lows here, that'll tell us a lot more, right? If we get a break of this, then it's going to tell us a lot more. It's going to tell us bears are definitely a little bit more present than we previously thought. But let's go to the other chart real quick, and we'll actually talk about the actual bigger time frame info. So you can see we have that same fib, except we have all of our zones, all of our other levels from the monthly time frame. Sorry, my dog's like, hold up, I gotta get out of here. So these are just all of the monthly emerging candles. This is how we chart in here, mixed in with the fibs, mixed in with some zones. Nothing really that crazy. It just looks like a lot when you're looking at it all at once. But basically, we're just seeing the same thing. We're seeing that we did come up, we did reject in a bearish wave, but we did hold that next area as support. Same reaction we see at the control point, the golden pocket fib. We see price coming back down in a bearish way. We saw that. But they're still holding that same area at 500, 599, 499.30s. Y'all wish we were at 599. Then we got that bullish kicker looking candle, which isn't really a bullish kicker, but we're just going to keep calling it that. And it's holding another good area, another good buyer move, right? And now they're closed back above the golden pocket. So you can see we are kind of sitting in a really good calculated spot here. Like, yeah, we are making up and down moves over and over again, but it's in a calculated manner. So we're going to either be looking for hold of support here for bounces, for a break of this, for drops, for a break of this for drops, for a hold of this for bounces. If we end up seeing a push into this, I want to see a higher low, hold this to show that we are going to 520s. If not, then it's most likely going to be showing lower highs, a rejection, and then we're going to be looking for a break of structure. And then we'll be looking for a retest of lower levels and pretty much doing what we're doing now, just up, down, up, down, up, down. So we'll be paying attention for these moves at these exact areas. But let me get a good screenshot of this so I can get the weekly watch list started. I've just been talking the whole time. SPY daily time frame view. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to add in, go ahead and add it in at any time. Wait, you have to do the work. Good afternoon, BB fam. So glad I caught this stream. Good to see you, Vanessa. What's up, Mikey? What's up, Alexis? We got everybody in here. Go back to the very beginning of the stream if you guys want to get a quick update on what we're doing here right now, and then you can catch back up. I tried not to stall too long in the beginning of the start of the stream, so there wasn't much to go back to. But just a good update on what we're doing here, and I'm just going to keep going on now. But if y'all have any questions, you can save them for the end. I'm just going to keep going. So right now I need to type up what I'm thinking here. So last week I said, looks like the retest of last week's fib was tested twice. Hold over 508 is presumably bullish, as well as any higher low made holding 503.50s. Any break under 503.50 can lead to test of 500, 499.30. So that was this candle. We were saying if we get a good push, we can look over 510.50. If not, we're going to be looking for rejection, and exit under 506.60s will give us most likely a test of 503.50, 500, and 499.30. That's what was posted. That's exactly what happened. After that, though, it says, and any further break below can lead to 494. That never happened. Higher lows can be very bullish if holding the right area, like 503.50 or 508. Look what it did. It held 503.50. I mean, we didn't really get that test of 508. And then the next day we're up above 510.50s, so that was accurate. But the same can be said for the lower highs for bears at the right spot between 508 and 513, 515. So I even talked about how in the future, or pretty much right now, if we do create lower highs right here, it's just like this. It's the perfect spot for bulls to hold this as a higher low. This would be a perfect spot for bears to hold this as a lower high. So just kind of keeping that in mind, not really looking for a single candle reaction of that, but just knowing on the smaller time frames or over the course of many days, we can see lower highs here, and we can look for a potential drop to the downside if that it does occur there. So we're just kind of going to type the same thing, really, just in a different area. So the retest that broke under, no wait, I'm sorry, that'd be a weird way to type that. The breakdown of 506.60 to 508 did happen after the test of the golden pocket at, let's just type it so people know what we're talking about, 510.51, 510. After the pullback, what is this telling me to do? Oh. After the pullback, the posted targets, and then in parentheses, let's post those posted targets. 503.50, 500, 499. What did I actually type in? I did actually type the exact number. Okay, then we'll put the exact number. Be a little OCD with it. Tested and held. So no further targets tested. Which again, that would be our 494. That was like our very first, our very next target. We said further break below can lead to 494. Then we talked about higher lows trying to hold this area. So now we're past this part, past all of last week. Now, all right. So we have the breakdown of 506, 508 did happen after the test of the golden pocket. We see that here. After the pullback, the posted targets were hit. Talked about that here. So no further targets were tested, just kind of adding more information there. End of week was completely different. Bulls higher open over 503.50. Bullish is posted and headed towards, so I'm gonna pull my mic up a little bit so you don't hear the keyboard as much. Over 550 posted and head towards that same so this is our starting point. looking for higher lows slash bullish to remain holding 510 50s or breakout above 513 515, which if we want to be very OCD with it, we can type the exact same level, which can type 15, round it up a little bit. Target above is 517.50 because we got a psychological there that is not marked. 519.50, it's a pretty good level that is marked. And then we got 521 to 523. And I think that's 525 above that. So we'll just put that. A rejection. Now we're talking about the bear side. So we talked about what would look good for bulls starting from here. Now we're going to talk about what would bears look good for starting from here. Doing the exact same thing, but being non-biased, we can cover both sides. A rejection of 513 to 515 with lower highs or bearish candlesticks or a break under 510.50s. Pullbacks towards, what's that next area again? Oh, the same 506 60s to 508 range from last week's list. A further break under this area, because remember, we've already done this once. Where's my mouse? I've already done this once. This would be a second time if it happens. A further break under this area a second time would be bloody. Well, hold up. Let's be realistic here. Would most likely be bloody towards. You want to always be open-minded. You don't want to sit here and be like, that's 100% bearish. Like, no, it just most likely is. Towards the same levels again, same targets. $503.50, 500, 29.29. And then of course if we get a further break of that, you go to last week's targets. If it breaks that, then of course we're going to 495, 494. But that's the game plan for the SPY daily time frame view. Nothing really else to add on there. And then now we move on to the smaller time frame. So you can see we spent all that time. I've spent like 12 minutes, no, I'm sorry, almost 20 minutes in this stream, and all we did was just kind of break down the basics of everything, review really what all this is, and then took our time looking at SPY. 20 minutes, that's all it took, and we talked about a lot already. So now we're going to move on to the smaller time frame. Like I said, save your questions for the end. And I haven't taken the liberty of deleting anything because I wanted you guys to see that yes, your chart is going to be dirty. You're going to have to delete things and then move on from that. So delete what you have. And if you're someone who's really early on in your charting process, I would delete the chart every time every time a new week starts, I would delete every chart I have if I was in the beginning of my charting. It's just a really good way of practicing, making yourself do it over and over and over and over again. It's a really, really good way of getting into things. So we're going to actually be deleting this. This was the last week pre-market high. This was the previous day open, which I'll re-add here in a minute. This was just kind of telling myself this. Oh, this was a fib, I think. I'm not sure. We're going to leave that one. And that's it. We have cleared the chart now. Everything's cleaned up now. Did we not add this last week? Alright, we're going to add it this week. I don't know why I didn't. So basically, this is a high of that news day, and it looks like we just held it as support. But I need to draw a zone from here to the open of the last green candle before the reversal back down. So I'm just going to add that tiny one. I'm going to add a couple days to that. I don't know why I added so many, but we did. So we're going to add, if you want to add levels to that, you can. I just do it for the list's sake, so it's a little cleaner. And that's going to be our demand, or I'm sorry, our supply that was held as support. So that is demand technically. And the levels look really clean. I'm kind of excited for Monday. And I think I'm going to cheat here. So normally, and I tell you guys there's special rules to drawing your supply and demand when other notable levels are around. This is a great example right here. So right here, normally the rule would be to go from this candle's high to this candle's open. But honestly, I just don't want to ignore a very important level, so I'm going to include the 51285, and I'm going to go down to that same green open like I would. So all I did was just extend the high a little bit from this high to this level. So nothing really crazy, and you can see it's really not that hard to remember. So we're going to add that, and you can add the green candle open if you want. Now your list is complete. Now your levels are complete. I guess we'll zoom it down a little bit like this. Yeah, whenever you're looking at your chart and you're getting it ready to kind of look at, make sure you have a couple levels under, a couple levels above current price whenever you're like moving it up and down. Therefore, you can actually see what's there. And if you, I notice sometimes when people do this, they're like, oh, I was only looking for calls. And then when someone has their chart like this, they're like, oh, I was only looking for puts. It's like, man, just put the price right in the middle. Put a couple levels above it, could put a couple levels below it. That's it. Make it a little bit even for yourself. And it might only be a psychological thing, but still, it's, I don't know, I still feel like it's pretty important. And then I was going to add the previous day open. I don't think I'm going to, actually. So it would be helpful to probably put that there, just because it is there. But just because there's another level so close by, I just don't see the point. If you want to, you can. I just don't see the point being that OCD. So might as well leave it like that. So Monday, of course, if pre-market moves us up or down, we'll, of course, adjust this. But as of right here, right now, it looks like we're already looking at either a lower high to start to kind of get us into the short-term bears, and a break of 510.18. I would say a break of just 510 flat. That would make us even more bearish. So this can kind of lean us up a little bit into kind of leaning, okay, lower highs are being made, bears are showing up a little bit more. A break of this can definitely lead to a lot bloodier of a pullback. If we get a break, well, if we get a break in the same kind of story down here, that can lead to another pullback. So that would be what we look at for the bears right now. I would say that's an early sign. I'd say that's a good trigger. I'd say that's a good kind of continuous trigger. For bulls, it's really the opposite. If they do get that continuous rejection here and pull back down to 510s, we want to see them hold these levels, right? We want to see bulls hold these levels with not just one bounce, but also a low and then a higher low. So we want to see them push and hold. And then from there, we're going to probably want to see them break out above the resistance levels of 512, 513, and then that can give us a extra bullish scenario. So kind of in the same way, the bears need to kind of test and kind of identify what's going on. The bulls need to do the same thing, and then they have a continuous trigger. So do the bulls. So it's not just like, all right, I'm super bearish from here. It's like, no, I'm just kind of, all right, I'm a little more, all right, now I'm very. It's just kind of like leading you into extra triggers, I guess. But that should be the main game plan for SPY. I think I'm just going to screenshot that with all the funny little arrows on it. Whoops. And then we're going to type that all out together. SPY SVOR. Alright. And then kind of the same thing we did here. Well, while we're typing, while we're re-talking about it to ourselves, we're going to talk about what happened, what's going to happen from there for bulls, what's going to happen from there for bears. And that's it. We're not going to give ourselves anything else. We're just going to go over the game plan as we see fit. So what do we see from here? And pretty much I'm just going to be retyping what we just broke down, what we just talked about. Let me do like this, you can see more. Alright, so this is what the levels look like for Monday. Of course, if the market adjusts, so will we. As of right now, a lower high or bear start under 511.40s. A followed up break under 510s can lead to pullbacks. Let's keep up with the bear scenario, then I'll go back to bulls. Previous day low is just above old supply support area between 507.10 to 508. I'm just gonna say 25. I like to round it up sometimes. So that level is 508.19. 25, 50, 75, 100, 25, 50, 75, 100. These are psychological numbers, so I'm going to just bump that up 6 cents. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to kill me. So I'm just going to make that even for myself. And you could technically do the same thing here. at every level, really. Anytime you see me type a tedious level, see how that says 51140? You could say 51150. If this says 50710, you could say 507. So if you want to adjust it to your quarters, that's fine. You're never going to see me complain about that. Alright, so we covered bears. Now let's cover bulls. Uh, 515, 517s. Alright, that's actually it. I don't really think I need to type anymore. Let's reread it so we can see if anything looks crazy. This is what the level's like for Monday. Of course, Pernambucan Dress will be 540s. Followed up by a break under 510s. Previous day low, kind of pointing out just what's the next area. Next range, break of this area can lead to more pullbacks, so watch for the lower, higher, low trend. Let me retype that actually. Lower, higher, low trend. A hold of 510s with higher lows and re-break above 51150s and 513s can lead to more rally towards 515 and 517s, maybe even 520s during the week. I like that. Pretty simple. I'd also like to add, just for everybody in here too, that this is not always perfect. Like, let's just talk about what does that mean. Like, let's say you did get a break down here, right? It led to this level, and then you came back up and they did make a lower high. Like, yes, you have reason to believe that bulls are trying to hold. Yes, you have reason to believe that bears are trying to give themselves a better position. But what do you not have in both of these scenarios? A second test. So let's not jump into the very first thing that we see, right? If I get a break down here, I'm not going to be super bearish yet. I'm going to have to see a break to 5, 10, 18 or a lower high made. And if I see that lower high made and then I see, you know, any kind of smaller lower high from that pushes away, and then those like inverted hammers pop up or those Lee test trades pop up, that's going to be what I want to jump into. Everything else is just warming me up for that potential trade. And the same thing for the bulls. Oh god, I got to delete a lot. So let's remove this because we don't want to look at that when the market opens tomorrow. But good visual aid for the list so we can look back at that and remind ourselves what we're looking for. And that's the main game plan for SPY. Now we're going to move on to IWM. So we covered SPY bigger time frame. We've now covered SPY smaller time frame, at least for Monday and possibly the beginning of the week. Nothing crazy beyond that because we can't see the future. But now we're going to cover IWM. We're going to do the same order. We're going to go to the bigger time frame. We're going to go to the daily. I think I was just talking about this in a stream one day. Ignore these ovals. I think I was just going over important areas. Like right now you have a high seller area that's actually trying to hold as support. And then I was saying down here you have a high buyer area that was lost and then was retaken with a 90% entry. And now a low and a higher low. So you have two really good moves away from this. Meaning like basically from 196 we're super bullish. And we were going to be super bearish if we saw rejections of 200. But we didn't. We pumped right through that. And we're even holding it as support right now. So IWM might actually be a lot more bullish than people give it credit for. But it's kind of in the same seat as SPY. It's in the exact same seat as SPY. Remember we were going over SPY and we were like, let me come back to this so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. We were like, look how it fell, and then we got a buyer move, and then from that buyer move a higher low was made, and now we're kind of up above the golden pocket, but we're also out of resistance. IWM is like the exact same story right now. The fib might be a little off, but the exact same story though, where we're kind of like holding a very important support that could definitely turn this chart bullish again, but we've only been given 1 day of time over it, so it's really not fair to be like, all right, let's turn super bullish on this right now. No, we need a little bit more info first, and a little bit more time needs to go by. So right now, yes, you are probably a little bit more bullish than bearish on IWM as it's above 200 and as it's trying to hold this old supply, but at the same time we're looking for more info. We don't want to just be the first people to jump into everything, right? So let's look at last week real quick. I didn't reread it that well. Whoops, that's not last week's. So here's IWM last week. So we talked about this. Now we're talking about this. So, oh, that's where they were from. They were from last week's watch list.
So we were saying a pop over recent highs from last week can lead to a test of the area above 200.50 and 202. Did that happen? Yes, 205, 202. That happened. Go back. This one. Pushes beyond 208 can lead toward 210, 212.50. So kind of just telling ourselves, like, if this does end up holding over this, what are the next levels? A rejection of the recent highs at 200.50 with lower highs for a test of... Okay, so we're either looking for rejections of this or buyers from this, is basically what last week was telling us. And we would be correct to think so. They got a lot of buyers from here over the course of not just the week before, but also last week. And then didn't really get any seller moves yet, so I guess no real scare yet on this chart. But it looks like the same concern is still here. Does 200 hold? So it looks like 200 to 202 is really just a really big control point area where if higher lows or bullish candlesticks are holding it and we get strong closes over, a very good strong push towards 205.50s, 208s, maybe even 210, 212s can definitely happen, and vice versa. If we get the same seller reaction from this area, then there is a good chance we're testing the lows of where we just got bought up from again, not just last week, but also the week before. So it looks like, basically in short, a loss of 200 brings us 196, maybe even 194. A hold of 200s, 202s with higher lows, bullish candlesticks, can give us those tests at 205, 208, maybe even 210, 212. So we're going to do the same exact thing as last week, just kind of moving the chart a little bit. Where's my thing at? Oh, here it is. Should I add those ovals again? Do you think that helped? It's kind of like the same thing. Like, it's like buyers are here. Except, like, this week it really is just, like, focus on 200. Nah, I'm not going to put that there. I think that looks tacky. I think last week it was fine because we were just literally in between two areas, but now it's a little bit more complex than that. Alright. Sorry about the typing. Make sure to stand up, get that blood flowing. Don't just sit still too long. If you guys have a water, make sure to hydrate. Don't just sit there and get cotton mouth. I see a lot of comments in here. I'm trying to save answering questions till the end so I can get through this. So for replay purposes, if someone wants to come back and watch this because they weren't here on time, it won't be so impossible to watch. Drink a margarita. Alright. A lot of talking, but honestly, I do this on my own anyway, so you guys are just getting a good peek at what I'd already be doing anyway. Alright, so let's type out basically everything we just explained. Let's do this. So, in short, last week held the posted buyer area and broke out higher. The only issue is that it's only one candle. So start of this week, prove for the IWM chart, 200 to 202 holds. Or bulls, or gives up, or bears short term. And that's kind of it. So let's talk about the targets from that area. If higher lows hold, the targets can be 205s, 208, and even 210/212. Kind of just leaving the 210, 212 a little at the end because it's like, yeah, they're on the chart, but I'm not really realistically looking at them to go smack 210 if they hold 200. That's just crazy. But if they do, not going to be surprised at the same time. Same story goes for lower highs under 200 to 202. Targets would be 198, 196. It is like almost every $2, isn't it? 194. It's really just 193.90s. What is this? What is this level right here? 191.90s, another $2 down. And then we'll kind of say like we did for like and even 210 to 212, we'll say and even 191.90s slash 189. So kind of giving short-term targets and further targets in case just that aggressive buying or aggressive selling does pop up, and we don't want to be so surprised about that. Now again, if nothing happens and we are just stuck in between, let's say we hold 200.50 all week, but we don't break 205.50, then we're just stuck in between these. Okay, that's not the end of the world. That's a lot better than not being ready for a move, you know? So we're pretty much done with IWM. We'll move on from that one now. Oh, well, bigger time frame at least. We're going to go down to the smaller time frame. We need to update the levels a little bit. Which it looks like I was not lazy on the IWM charts. We're going to leave that one there, actually. Just because we moved above it. We didn't really test it. So if we ever get a loss of the... Well, if we get a loss of Friday's low, I know exactly where we're going. But let's add our previous day high supply. So that'd be here. And if you want to do the same thing where you include this level, you can. Just add a little bit of this over... that. Don't really need to add the open. Don't really need to add the close. If you want to, you can. It's kind of just in the smack dab of everything. Smack dab middle of everything. And then we got the low to the high of that day. Edit properties. Add a couple days to it. I'm adding more than a couple days to it. Add that low if you want. I'm just gonna leave it like that. And now our levels are done. I need to add something up here though. Like from this level to here, where's the halfway point? I need to have another good short-term target. I notice on IWM when they break out, they don't just go to that next big level. They sometimes do stop at that halfway point. So I need to add a couple. So we have one there. Let's add one here. Just for 2 levels up. Remove drawing. That's it. Alright, now we can scroll back down and see what this looks like. So 209.70, 208.17. I kind of like that. It's gonna look like this a little bit. It's gonna look a little tacky, but I need to include all these levels. Whoops, I just messed it up. Okay, there we go. Alright, so in short, and I'll draw a couple arrows real quick so you guys can see what we're looking for here. Basically looking for buyer moves over this. Basically looking for higher lows to continue holding this. If you can get any breaks or higher lows above this, it'd be great. And that's pretty much it for bulls. For bears, a little bit different of a story. So they already kind of have a little bit of a sign of life here being down so much from Friday, but they didn't lose everything. We're actually still, this looks just like SPY. We're up, but we're just barely holding above the areas that hold us up where we are. So if we get a loss of 201.10s, we're definitely going down to 200. A break of, let me duplicate this again, a break of 200s and whatever this is, I'll mark it on 199.70. That's not going to be looking good. Duplicate again. And then a continuation under 199.10s. That'll give us our continuation. So these are kind of our initiating triggers, just like we looked at on the other chart where we were like, all right, well, we're bearish here, we're more bearish here, we're really bearish here, we're bullish here, we're kind of bullish here, we're not really bullish here. Just kind of covering the areas that we are super and not super bullish in or bearish in. Kind of the same thing happened here. We're looking for initial bulls already from here or here. Kind of obvious with, again, the higher lows holding here. I'm a little bit more bullish with how we closed last week because we're holding above good areas. So all it takes is a higher open or just a good higher low to appear, and next thing you know, we're off to the races, hitting previous day highs with potential of breaking previous day highs. So kind of keeping the previous day high breakout in mind in case we do get that good initial bullish open. Vice versa, we end up getting that good bearish initial momentum. We end up getting a break of this, or lower highs show up under 201.10. There's a very good chance we're going to test 200, and we know the same story under 200 is for more downside. So really just kind of like initial bearish, or initial bullish, more bullish, more bullish. Initial bearish, more bearish, more bearish. And the same thing can happen vice versa. I don't always like to go off the arrows. I don't think I should be posting these anymore because they kind of confuse people. But it's just to show you the areas of like where you should be bullish, where you should be bearish, right? And then if you see a lower high pop up in that should be bearish area, then you have a very high probability trade possibly popping up in front of you. Now, if that invalidates, okay, whatever. You can take that quick loss. You know that when it was wrong, you had to cut, right? You weren't sitting there like, all right, is this wrong? Do I do this? Do I do that? the hesitancy in you cutting your trade is going to create a bigger loss, right? So if you can instantly understand, okay, I'm wrong, cut it, that's going to be a lot smaller of a loss because you're being a cold computer just cutting your trade as you see your parameters hit, right? So just go off of good condition formatting. But we're going to screenshot this and we're going to go over the weekly watch list aspect of this. So same story here for SPY. Just kind of reviewing it again. IWM. Now we're on smaller time frame viewing. So same story, I guess, goes for this one as it does SPY. From the start of Monday, it will be very important to see if higher lows or lower highs hold 201.12 to 201.80. Holding this area or any followed move over $202.50 or previous day highs can be even more bullish. Target slash further ish chart. Lower highs. Now we're talking about the bear scenario. Why'd I type or? Holding under 201. And to 201.80. Wow, that was a lot, but it's not at the same time. Alright, bold that. Alright, so just kind of reviewing it again. From the start of Monday, it will be very important to see if higher lows or lower highs hold 201.12 to 201.80. That's going to be this previous day low or Friday demand, Friday low demand. Higher lows holding this area or any followed up move over 202.50, this level here, or previous day highs, this area here, can be even more bullish. Targets further levels shown on chart. Lower highs holding 201 to same area. Lower highs or any breaks of this with any followed up move breaking the 200s can definitely be seen as a pullback towards, and then us pointing out the rest of those targets, that 199.10, that 197.50, 196.30, all those good things. So just kind of pointing out everything for both bull and everything for bear. Of course, if we see, here, I'll just type that. Of course, if we see any lower highs rejecting previous day high or higher lows holding, but I can't type, 200, this can be, hold on, let me do this. All I added was, of course, if we see any lower highs rejecting previous day high, this will be bearish short term, or higher lows holding 200 for short term bulls. So just kind of pointing out the zones aspect of things too. And now we can get on to the fun part. Well, I guess all of that was the fun part. But I want to review last week's 3 charts that we posted. How do I put this into view mode? Oh, here we go. So last week I posted FedEx, Nike, and Coin. The weeks before that I posted many others. This week we're just going over the last week ones, and then we'll cover some new ones. So this is what last week looked like. Let me just make that bigger. So we had FedEx here. Looks like all we had was a little bit of a bearish stance under 268.85 to 271. So just kind of showing bears are present, looking for a potential bearish move to the downside of 262.50s end up breaking. So just kind of looking for that. If that holds, that can be bullish with a rebreak over 271s. So just kind of looking for more info for bulls there, but definitely a little bit more bearish. Same story for Nike here. A little bit more bearish than bullish with a little bit of a loss here. Now, if it was this candle that closed by itself, I'd be a lot more bullish. but this candle ended up popping after. Again, just kind of showing us it's a weak presence of buyers, but again, still holding support. So any break under 93.90s can be bearish. Any hold of this, we can look for continuation towards 96s. So definitely same story as FedEx. Has a chance of bullish showing up, but a lot more bearish than bullish. And then Coin, I was actually a lot more bullish on than the rest of these setups. I like that it was holding back above the, all I did was take a fib from that high to that low before a buyer showed up. They ended up taking us back up to the control point, dipped back down, held a little bit of a higher low here, so definitely bullish, and then holding over 235, kind of looking for a push over 235s and maybe even 246s to give us a really big breakout under the 260s again for the coin chart. So we'll go over all three of these real quick. So what was the first one? FedEx. We had FedEx, then Nike, then Coin. So we're going to go over all three. So FedEx did follow up my game plan. We ended up getting a little bit of a move here. We even took swings from this day into this day. Got a little bit of a dip that helped us out. My first target was 260, and we got a test of that. But ever since then, it was just holding that low. So now we're kind of stuck with this awkward support here at about 260. So definitely still a lot more bearish than bullish on this setup, but we need to see more under 260s. Every time we get down here, we wick up. Every time we get down here, we wick up. Same story again, third day in a row. So we're not out of the water for bulls to show up and just start pumping the chart yet, but at the same time, we're not really out of it either for the bears to send us lower. So we need a little bit more confirmation for both sides, but we're definitely still a little bit more bearish than bullish. So I actually still like this setup a lot. I might even include this again. I might have to add some more information into it, but let's do it. So we're gonna do FedEx first. Def or bearish. Alright, so FedEx is done. Now we'll go look at Nike. And Nike also works. So we had two ideas work from last week. FedEx, not as pretty as Nike, I would say, but definitely both of them still seeing a little good move under what we had talked about. And this one, kind of the same story. I think if this candle had closed like this on Friday, this would have looked really good for the new week, right? But it didn't. That was in the middle of the week. We still had Thursday and Friday to deal with. But then what did we get from there? We end up getting a good loss after a lower open, a test of that lower target below, a little bit of a soldier candle here, opening kind of in the middle of the candle, closing higher, and then a failed dark cloud cover. So I guess I'm definitely kind of in the same story as FedEx. I'm definitely a lot more bearish against this still, but I don't think I would mind a lower high stepping back in. So if we see a little bit of a buyer candle and then I see another like top wick or any kind of inverted hammer appear, then I can probably jump into shorts back towards these lows. Definitely aim for the meat of that bulk candle there. Definitely aim for the top of that zone, the low of that move, and then we can see what's further below that. But that actually looks pretty good for some short-term downside still. But at the same time, we gotta also watch for these targets below. If the bears do pull back in, where are they gonna stop at? So that's kind of what we're gonna keep in our minds. Plus, a lot of the earnings is back behind us now, so you guys don't have to worry about some of that. Some of the IV will be cooling off this week. I actually like INTC a lot this week, but we'll go over that at the end. I don't think I'm going to re-add Nike, though, to the list. I don't think people would be able to trade this correctly. I think I'm still bearish on this, but we're at a part of the chart where you got to start turning more bullish because of the risk reward. This is a great thing about the weekly time frame. Zoom out. We're at the lows of this chart. We should not be looking for new bearish setups until we see more price action. So I don't think I will be adding Nike. Let's go to the FedEx chart. Let's try to see if that's different. And you can see here, FedEx, I'm allowed to talk about potential bear setups. We're actually coming down from lower highs. I'm actually breaking support. So both bullish and bearish scenario exist here. Whereas on the Nike chart, we're down here. It's not really fair for my money for me to sit here and be like, all right, this is how I'm going to keep shorting this chart. Like, what? That's not how that works. So we're not going to re-add Nike, but it's still good that we back tested it. We saw that the ideas did work. Let's go to, what was the last one? Coin. Where you at, Coin? There you are. So remember, I was a little bit more bullish on this than the other two. And this is the candle reaction we got that next week opening. So here's me posting it saying if we get a good close over this and a good close over this, we could see a lot more. We didn't get any of that. We got a black crow, kind of the opposite of that soldier candle I was telling you about. We got a lower open and a lower close. It actually opened in the perfect spot of that previous candle and closed lower. So this instantly denied pretty much all of this price action, right? The next day opening lower and breaking lower, not just opening lower, but breaking more levels, showing more bearish confirmation. What did they do the next day? They open at the next target, and then they pump it back up. So now we're back above support, but at least we know exactly who has control of what. So we can actually remove... Actually, no, those two levels are in the right spot. So we need more moves over this. We need more moves over this for bulls, so that'll be a good target. 239 will be such a beautiful breakout target this week. Rejections of 227s will be really good rejection. I still like this coin chart a lot. Maybe not for swings because earnings is in the way. It just happened. Now it's going to cool off a little bit. But overall, I wouldn't mind seeing this chart get back to the 246s. So I think I'm going to rechart this one. We have too much information going on here. So I'm going to rechart this one. Let's start coin over. So nothing to really add on the monthly that I like. Normally I start in the monthly and I get emerging candles, but we're not really in a monthly emerging type chart. This is a chart that had a lot of hate in the beginning of it. Also connected to crypto. That is a monthly demand. You don't really have a monthly supply. I guess you could say that's your monthly supply, but I'm not really comfortable adding that. So we're going to go to the weekly again. Let's go see what we got going on here. So we got some really nice lows from the beginning of the chart. They broke down, good rejections of that, so we'll add both of those. Oh, that could maybe be where we get our info from. Let's go to the daily now, max daily. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that. Let's just do some zones. I'm not even gonna do my natural style of charting. Let's get the meat and the wick low of this area, so that'll be kind of a good short-term little zone. Those are just two good levels. Here's the supply of the high of the recent move. Here's the recent high. Is that higher? It is higher. So 239 is the recent high. So that right there should be our game plan based on swing trading. I don't even have to turn on EMAs or anything special like that. So this looks like if higher lows appear above, I'll do my little arrows again. Above 217.50s, you should be good. If you see breakouts above 239, you should be good. On the other hand, though, down, we see lower highs pop up here, or a loss of 217.50s. On the other hand, it could also flip bearish. So we're at two different pivot points right now. You got the recent high, you got the potential higher low. I say potential higher low because all we have is a new low being made, and this is our first rally up. So if we get a pullback or any kind of green candle appears and it holds, then I have to see this as a potential higher low from this low, right? But at the same time, we have the recent highs right in our way at 239. So these are very important levels. I don't think I'm going to add coin back to the list either, but or maybe we'll just drop the chart. We won't like add any crazy typing or anything. Oh, I typed the wrong affected. I'm stupid. So we got FedEx, Coin. We didn't want to really add Nike. We already covered IWM smaller and bigger. We covered SPY smaller and bigger. And then I wanted to cover INTC. and then after that we can take questions and finish the watch list and then do whatever. So first off, I'm gonna go to the monthly time frame because I need to get some monthly emerging candles on here. Got those, got those, got those, got those, got those, got those. You don't have to go as high as I'm going right now. Let's go to the daily. Actually, yes, this works out. There's actually a low there. Okay, so rectangle tool, we're going to go from the low of the move to the top of the last red candle to give us an area of demand. This is where buyers would be. And we're going to be focused right here. So we're starting here because I saw it started under price. I'm just trying to give myself a chance of not charting every little zone that exists in this chart. And then from here, we're going to kind of work our way up. So we see that there's a nice little push. There's a little hold here. Perfect time for that level to be there. Nothing to really add there. A little bit of a supply that we can add here. You can see over the course of multiple rallies, this was affected. So we're going to definitely keep that there. And I don't have this added on my chart, but I can't ignore this. But you guys see how right here, we have this low, and then here we have a higher low, and then from here we have a higher low. It's almost like we're bouncing between two zones between here and here. Again, if you go from the low to the top of the last red candle, here we'll add it exactly, top of the last red candle, and then extend it over. That should be where these higher lows are holding, and it is. So I think I'm going to add some levels around these zones, and I'm going to leave the chart like this. Got everything we need. We got monthly emerging candles. We got zones to watch for. With the large pullback from market, well, hold up, on the market, semis, and its own earnings. Wait, that sentence didn't make sense. Okay, wait, now it does. Oh, it doesn't know what ERs means. Never mind, we'll leave it like that. And its own earnings, we are now left with a pretty dead chart. Watching this for higher lows. With the large pullback from the market, semis, and its own earnings, we are now left with a pretty dead chart. Watching this for higher lows to appear at any time, but not bullish until it push and hold over 3140 to 3240s, that area above it. A higher low can also... I want to type potentially because it's not really the best spot for it. Recent low made just above 30s. A break. Oh, hold up. A break under recent lows in 2960s. One more blood. As well as any weakness or lower highs rejecting 3140 to 3240. Okay, that's bugging me. Alright, lows appears many times on bullish. Alright, looking to potentially appear above the recent low, made just above 30s, a break under the recent lows in 2960s for more blood, as well as any weakness or lower highs rejecting the range above. And that's really it. I don't really have much more to talk about that one. Let me post this everywhere, and then y'all can ask some questions, and we'll go over some more stuff. Alright, so I have all that boldened. So this should be everything, guys. You guys have any questions about the SPY bigger or smaller time frame, the IWM bigger or smaller time frame, let me know. I would love to go over anything, but we got 7 pages here. Also in the Discord, this is why it kind of helps to be a member or just to be around. But if you guys are in the Discord just in general and you have access to the daily updates channel, my boy Eric always comes in here and posts the weekly news on Sunday or that Monday morning before. Therefore, you have an understanding of what's ahead, as well as during the week, every single day, and when the major news actually comes out, he'll tag everyone in chat and he'll have stuff posted in this channel. So make sure you have access to this daily update channel and you're using this in your daily routine, because it is very helpful to just be aware of what news is happening and really just what's all going on. But let me post this everywhere. If you guys have any questions, now is the time to ask. But thank you guys for being here and paying attention and just kind of letting me go on about the weekly watch list. But you guys see what I mean, though. It's only been an hour, and I've had the time to go through SPY, IWM, bigger and smaller time frame in a very thorough and slow fashion. Typed it all up, re-talked about it multiple times. And then also still having time to go over other ideas, and it only took up an hour of our time. That's effective review, effective preparation. All right, this looked good to me. I'm going to post this everywhere right now. All right, so the first place I go is the YouTube. That'll be for members only. Alright, so all YouTube members, you have a link to the PDF that we just made together on the stream together. Everybody on Discord, I'm about to download this as a PDF. If it'll pop up. There it is. And then I'm going to repost it in the weekly watch list. Wait, where'd that symbol go? Alright, that is posted for everybody. If you guys have access to the Discord, or if you have access as the YouTube channel member, then go to the community section of the YouTube channel, and you can actually click on that link, and you can view this all you want. You can have it as long as you want. You can look at whatever you want. You shouldn't be able to edit anything, but that's all y'all. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, now is the time to ask. Now is the time to go over some stuff. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to look at, I'm going to put this on viewing mode so I don't mess with it anymore. But just kind of give it one more look real quick. Just kind of remind yourself what's going on. What game plans do we have? And you'll notice a trend across the whole weekly watch list every single time. And pretty much any time I post in chat is I'm always covering a side. I'm always covering both sides. Not just one, not just the other. We're covering both bull and bear. Therefore, when something happens or when we're wrong, we know when we're wrong. We can act on it. We don't have to sit here and wait. But yeah, not a bad post, not a bad stream. I wanted to try and get the meat of this done in an hour, and we got it done perfectly, so that was good. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions or anything to add on to the list or anything about the group, let me know. Yes, Bob Johnson, this will all be replayable. I don't think we had any frames drop or anything, so I don't think there'll be any lag in the replay either. But yeah, it should pop up instantly after the stream, and if not, give it like an hour or two. Sometimes YouTube is super slow, and they don't unlist it instantly. Yeah, I have it off, so it should pop up whenever this ends. Great question by Ace. He said, if you were going to enter a trade near a gray zone, would you enter within the zones or wait for a rejection and a candle close above or below the zone? Example on a 5-minute. So that's a great question. The reason I say that is because I feel like a lot of people have this misunderstanding when they look at just anything, not just levels, not just zones, but just looking at the stuff in general. It can make you second guess stuff. And even if you're someone who has taken trades, I know, and a lot of you guys are going to feel this on this one, but a lot of us, when we take trades, have an understanding of how we want to do things, and then after we've done it for a while, we start to kind of second guess if it's even really that effective, or if we want to do something else, or just because we're curious. And then by doing that, we confuse our future self, and then you end up taking a trade and you're like, wait, do I want candle close? Do I not want candle close? What do I want? So one thing is for sure, you always want candle close. Never enter a candle before it is closed. If you are going to, please make sure there's like 3 seconds left in that candle and you are getting the confirmation that you're looking at. That's all that I ask. So candle close, part of your question, yes, you always want the candle close. Now the stronger part of the question was, do we wait for above or below the zone? And that is a great question, but it's also a bit of a two-sided question. So yes and no. So let's say you are looking at a push into this zone. Is it really fair for me to just enter off the rip of that? No. Hell no. So I'm going to need to wait for more info, because it's just the first break, right? I don't know that it's super bullish. I just know that we're trying to work into the kind of meteor part of the previous day highs, right? So yes, it is definitely more bullish than bearish, but is it a bullish trade that I should act on? No, probably not. I want to act on something a little bit more passive, something with a little bit more probability in it, right? Now let's say I'm inside of the zone though, and we end up making that a support, right? Is it really fair for me to look at that and say, now I want to get into the trade? Yeah, and it's inside of the zone. But also, what happens if this breaks? Let's say I get a little push and then it breaks back under. What should my stop loss be? And this is where a lot of people trick themselves. This is a great example. A lot of people are probably going to say, well, I'd probably give it a little bit of room and wait for 511.40s or that previous day close. I'd probably wait for that to break before flipping. No, that's wrong. You need to cut it when it flips under the area you were bullish on, right? So let's say I'm bullish here. I'm like, oh, I like how it's holding here. There's a nice hammer candle here. It closed, and then I'm in. And then we get just a little bit of a move up, and I'm kind of just up, man. You know, nothing crazy. I don't really want to take profits because it's not really a good move. It hasn't hit my target. I want to give the trade a chance, right? Where do I cut when it breaks back under? Right here. It's not fair to get into a trade that's inside of the zone and then not cut inside of the zone. That's what gets me on some people's. They'll be like, I entered here and then I gave it a chance down here. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're down like 30% at the very least on that trade when it's doing that. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you ignoring where you were bullish from? Why are you ignoring that when that bullish area breaks? Why are you not cutting, right? If I'm bullish there and that area breaks, I should no longer be bullish. And the same goes for the other way around. And that's a great question because positioning is everything. And let's say vice versa. Let's say I'm not in the zone yet. Let's say I've made a move down here and I'm looking for a lower high right here, right? We've made that move down. I'm looking for a potential move to the downside right here. Let's say I get into my trade. That's a great trade because now you're playing from a zone. It's exiting a zone. So I think it just adds more probability to a trade when it's from or exiting an area like that. And I think it just kind of makes it a little bit more, I don't know, jumpy, I guess, a little bit less decisive when it's inside of a zone. So I don't think it's wrong to trade inside of a zone. I just think we need to be positionally aware that, okay, look, this is the first time it's done this in this zone. I don't think it's really fair for me to be bullish or bearish yet, right? That was a really good question. This has been a masterclass telling yourself the story of the chart. Sorry, I'm just catching up in y'all's comments. Amazon is shooting for another all-time high very soon. Aloha SF. See you later, Tobias. What's up, Kevo? Happy Easter, SF. Is it Easter? Cinco de Mayo. If you were going to enter a trade near... Oh, I already read that. Will you be doing this with us weekly now? No. This will be something I'm going to be doing for the Lifetime group and just posting for everybody. But I noticed the last couple weeks had gotten not as many views on the weekly watch list, and I was like, you know what? It's the 25th one. Let's just do a public stream while doing this. But no, this is something I'm going to try to be doing with my Lifetime group. Not yet, but when we start getting on the routine, this is going to be something I'll be doing with them every single week. Whether like 2 people click on it or 20 people click on it, I don't care. Orthodox Easter. Beats me. But do we have any other questions? Because as of right now, that's everything I wanted to go over. We can go over other ideas and other charts and stuff too if y'all want, but for the most part, that was genuinely all I wanted to cover. I wanted to make sure we got the weekly watch list covered. I wanted to make sure I got it done kind of quickly or in a timely manner. Therefore, when people go back to replay, it's not impossible to watch. I did get some complaints about that last time, that it was impossible to click through because there was so much answering of questions and stuff in between instead of at the end. So hopefully this time it's a little bit more organized for everybody, not just for people who caught it live, but also for people who are going to see it later. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions or comments or anything you want to add on to this, please let me know. I think that's the majority of what I wanted to cover. Definitely be on the lookout too this week for the, sorry, I'm brain farting now, the zones on the sector charts. So these are the sectors of SPY, XLK, XLV, FYC. These are all very important to watch. Just kind of track, and you'll notice a lot of these are kind of in similar positions. And healthcare at a very, very special spot. It can reject and be very bad for our market here. Same story though for tech. They're holding above a really good area like SPY, where if we do just end up holding any kind of support or getting any kind of extra move up, that next zone could be our test to, I mean, look at this. This is high. This is all-time high on tech. We're not that far. We really aren't. All-time high on healthcare. It's really our first leg down and then like a retest, and we're on that second leg down, potentially coming back up. Banks. A little bit of a lower high. I mean, again, just I'm kind of saying the same thing on every single chart. We're at a position of the chart where if a lower high or a higher low is made here soon, that's going to be a very strong indication on who has control moving forward. Because I'm seeing a lot of sector charts at resistance right now. Some of them are bouncing off of very important supports and are just kind of under the next level with no real sign of life to give us any other extra information to really push us into another trade or anything. But if there's no other questions or comments, I can go ahead and end the stream here. I still have the Tesla gap fib on watch. We're still watching that in the streams this week like we were last week. AMD, Nvidia, still watching those every day. Apple, Microsoft, still watching those every day. If there's a large weight that's popular, we're probably already watching it in the market this week. Just because it's pretty damn important. But if there's no other comments, I think I'm going to end the stream here. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. I know I didn't really give much of a, you know, sign like, hey, I'm gonna stream Sunday, but I'm glad we got to do this. I'm glad you guys got to tune in, and a lot of good information. And yeah, I will catch you. Oh, before I leave, Daffy posted a sector rotation chart on the weekly watch list channel, so if you guys want to check that out, you can. It's a cool visual to look at how the sectors are possibly moving, which ones are cooling off, which ones are not cooling off, which ones are just skyrocketing, and which ones are starting to get more action, which ones are starting to cool off. So just cool information, cool little visual. I like that visual a lot too. But guys, I will see you on the next one. I'll see you in tomorrow's stream, most likely. And yeah, I hope to see all of you there. Thank you guys again for joining in and dropping a like and supporting, and I hope everybody has a good time.